Hmm.
You go to the academy, and you see even if you go to the PAR, where they're getting ready, they want to become an officer, and they're so excited. And you see, just so excited in their eyes. They're not really sure what all's going to go on, but man, they're fired up about becoming a police officer. And then you see them after they go through the academy, they graduate. Man, they're proud, they're excited.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see them 2 or 3 years later. And
their candle has burned down a little bit.
Their candle's a little shorter.
Yeah.
And you look in their eyes and you see that they've come face to face with how much they're really needed. And not just them, but something greater than just their own heart and their own life.
And that's a good point right there. We hear spouses say that, right? That spouses and family members, loved ones, how they see that change in their officer. And that's what it is. They see the change in their eyes.
Yeah.
And they see that change comes from things that their loved one has now seen, been exposed to, right? And it's changed how they look at things. It becomes concerning. But, to the point that you were just making, I think what happens is the officers see, with all the training, all the knowledge, all the tools that I have available to me, there are things that I still can't fix. There are things that I still can't prevent.
Yep.
And then the realization is I can't do this on my own, in my own strength, in my own training, in my own education. I still can't do this by myself. And so it's kind of that fundamental fork in the road, right? Where the officer sees, if I can't do this in my own strength, right? Or with my own knowledge, right? What else is there to help me? And so they're really going to have that spiritual epiphany, if you will, one way or the other.
One way or the other.
Of seeking it more, seeking it out, or trying to extinguish it.
Yeah. How do I do this?
That's right.
They're looking directly into the face of pure evil and true darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your average human being doesn't see evil and darkness at that level because our society has been trained and taught we pay somebody to do that.
That's right.
If you don't want to get out and clean out your gutters, oh man, there's somebody, I'm going to pay somebody to. How many times do we say about things we don't want to do or deal with? Well, I'm just going to hire somebody to do that because I don't have time, or I don't really feel like it, or I don't want to do that. And so really that police officer, when they hit the street, even though other mature officers, mentors, field training officers, FTOs have told them, instructed them, talked to them in the classroom, gone through safe scenarios. And when I say safe scenarios, we run through scenarios that are street life actualities.
Stress inducing.
Stress inducing.
Right.
However, still in the back of the mind of that officer, they know that trainer is not really out to kill them.
Right.
They know that trainer really isn't out to rape that woman that's playing that role or part. They know it's still play.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get out into the street and you go on your first call or your first domestic or your first major situation where it is highly probable that you could lose your life if you don't make every decision right, it can have an effect on that candle.
Right.
And you can't really train for that moment unless you're in that moment.
And that's what officers do, right? So your candle starts getting burned down, right? Yeah. Burned out, burned up.
Or we might say gets burned at both ends.
That's what I was getting ready to say, right? Is that many officers, when they're trying to figure out, one, how do I keep my candle from burning down? Or better yet, how do I relight my candle, right? How do I get recharged here?
Right.
Oftentimes what officers start to do is if they can't get the candle relit on this end, they light it over on this other end, and then they start burning the candle on both ends, working off-duty employment, extra jobs, maybe doing something else completely different, which then leads to you start covering what you're seeing and what you're experiencing. You're at that fork in the road, and you're saying, I could go this route that really dives very deep into the issues of life, or I could go this other route where I can just kind of mask this issue of my candle
Band-Aid
getting
it.
burned out. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And so invariably, I always say this, that often starts costing a lot of money because we do it, I've said it before, with the big trucks, the big homes, the big families, the big vacations. And invariably, when you're talking to the officers, myself included, we discover that it really doesn't get you very far. And it's just masking the issue of this deep-seated need that every one of us have in our spirit, in our core. And, try as you might, you can't get around it. You can't get around that fork in the road. But sometimes officers struggle so much in that position, or even worse yet, get themselves so far in on that other road of trying to mask all these things that it becomes masking it with alcohol, substances, sex, betting, gambling, right? All the other things.
Right.
By the way, this isn't just officers. This is human beings
Human
in
beings,
general,
period.
right?
That's right.
But oftentimes can be even more accentuated for an officer because what they're trying to mask or cover is so much larger because of the acute nature of what they've experienced. To your point, a major catastrophe, a mass casualty incident, a mutilation or a tragic death of a child in a car crash or a murder from abuse, whatever the case may be. Things that no human should see, our officers are not only seeing, but oftentimes they're seeing it every single day.
Every day.
And so when you go home, how do you mask that? How do you relight the candle? How do you? It becomes very difficult.
I talked to an officer not too long ago that told me, he said, Pastor, he said, I used to see 4 to 5 murders, heinous murders a year.
Yeah.
He said, in the same area, in the same district, I'm now seeing 4 to 5 a week.
And that's happening in major cities across the country.
And you see, and when we talk about murders, I mean, most human beings have never seen a human body sliced up. I mean, where it's down to the bone all over a body, or stabbed multiple times, or what a true gunshot wound does to the face, the head, the neck, the arms, the legs, what that looks like. They would throw up, they would pass out, they couldn't look at it, they wouldn't want to see it.
Or they think they know because they've seen things on TV.
On TV, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So anything and everything happens in an officer's life to snuff out this candle, the spirit of their life, their heart. And that's why the Bible says to guard your heart with all due diligence. Guard your candle with all due diligence, for out of it flow all the issues of life. This is a great candle. This is actually a candle we use for some of our candlelight services that we have, at special occasions, and it has all the potential. It's wax, nice wick, it's tall, it's ready to be lit. There's only one problem. If you turn all the lights off in this room, even though I have this candle, it's not going to offer one spark of light.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that this candle can offer you any light whatsoever is if it has, now don't start shouting and run around, but if it has another source.
That's right.
It has to have a greater source in order to provide any light, even though it has the potential. All the potential's there. But there has to be another source that sets this on fire.
That's right.
And that source offers a greater flame. There's no flame here. There's no light here. Until that source, now if we say this is the human, this verse, the spirit of man has no light unless God, who is light and life, puts himself inside and lights this spirit of man back up.
Has to be something bigger that overcomes the current state.
Something
of
bigger.
That candle, right?
Which is, this is why even like Alcohol Anonymous or Drug Anonymous, all these different, they always tell you that if you do not come to a place where you believe in your heart in a higher power, they use the term higher power, you and I would use the term God, then you will not be able to sustain or overcome the addiction you deal with. Even those who battle these things in life, they'll tell you, you have to come to some depth in your heart to understand something greater than you has to help you. Hey, thanks for joining us today. Rick and I trust that you heard something that will help your life. And if you believe that it would help others, please make sure and share. Like and subscribe and hit that bell so that you can be notified when the next podcast is available. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.